the Garnet Trust Hour on your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
All right, welcome in another Garnet Trust interview, joined now by South Carolina quarterback Tanner Bailey, making his 107.5 The Game debut. Tanner, done any radio before, man, or is this the first time?
I've done a few back in high school, but this is the first time here in Carolina, so really excited for sure.
Yeah, appreciate you coming in, man.
Yes,
excited to talk some spring football, talk about everything that's been going on with you. Going to talk about your journey to South Carolina as well. So lots to get to, but I guess first, how's the spring going? Y'all are kind of closing it out, final week, spring game ahead. I'm sure you're looking forward to being back in Williams-Brice Stadium, but how's everything been going for you so far?
Yeah, it's been going great. Coach Loggins coming in, been really fun working with him. So we're really excited. We got about a week left, so spring game, it'll be really fun. This is my first spring, so I've really enjoyed it, like I said. But yeah, a lot to look forward to. Obviously coming off last season, last few games, big momentum. So yeah, really excited.
Yeah, you mentioned Coach Loggins. We've been, us media people have been trying to get as much information as we can about this new offense without anyone completely giving it away. What we do know so far, or what we've heard, been told, is some similar concepts, but also I think they've said they're trying to streamline it, maybe make it a little bit easier to get in and out of plays, potentially a little more up-tempo as well in there at some point. So just being in the room, what can you tell us? What have you seen from this new scheme so far? And how comfortable have you gotten over this sort of, I guess, 4 or 5 weeks of practice?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with new OC, you're going to have new stuff. But I think our main goal is kind of just get the ball to our best players, whether that be, getting it out quick, some deep throws. Obviously, we've got a bunch of new guys, skill players. So, yeah, scheme-wise, kind of keeping that, inside the building.
I know.
We love what Coach Loggins is doing so far. We really, Spencer, Luke, me, our QBs, we're all really comfortable with it. And that's probably one of the main things, as a quarterback you want to have, is just that confidence and that comfortability, kind of with, what you're doing, what you're running. And then, so we've simplified a lot of stuff, as well. So I think, I think that, going in the spring, we had some questions, and then obviously, get to know Loggins. Of course, we call him D-Lo. Yeah. But D-Lo's been great. It's been really fun. He knows a lot of ball, obviously, long-time NFL vet guy. Bringing in Coach Sean Ryan as well. Really wise guy as well. So we're just, like I said, we're trying to get the ball to the best players. I think that's kind of our, main, goal right now. And that's kind of our motto that we've had. So it's been really fun to learn from those guys.
Yeah, you bring up Sean Ryan yourself. So does that mean that you feel like he's been a really nice addition as well?
Yeah, he has a great addition. Obviously, D-Lo, first few weeks, he was kind of doing it by himself. We had Riley Watkins, who's a GA as well, who's doing a great job too. Coach Ryan comes in, obviously long-time NFL vet guy as well. And so he's been kind of, where, you make a throw, you may miss a read, me build a weight or something, hey, what do you see right there? Stuff like that. And so that's been really good to have somebody, with a lot of knowledge, along with D-Lo and Riley, to kind of, get some extra opinion from, I guess you could say. Learning from all those guys, as well as Spencer and Luke, me being a redshirt freshman now. So, just having all those guys with so much knowledge and passion for the game, it's really fun to learn from them.
Quarterback, obviously a unique position in that, if you were an offensive lineman, there's like 5 slots. And, then there might be a 6th, a 7th, an 8th guy that might play. QB, for the most part, if Rattler does his job, stays healthy, your QB1's going to play most of the reps. How do you sort of mentally go into this offseason, go into this spring, kind of knowing, I know you're a competitor. I know every quarterback's going to be a competitor to some level, to where I know you're wanting to start. Like, you want to come in as the approach, hey, I'm going to be a starter. But then you have a guy like Rattler. Everybody knows what he's done. Kind of, coming in ahead of you. How do you approach an offseason? Do you still say, look, I want to go in and win the starting job? Or is it more just about, let me turn this internally, let me just, progress as much as I can and see where the chips fall, I guess?
I think we all take the same mindset, and that's just, next man up for guys, that aren't Spencer in the room, as well as anybody on the depth chart, that's not a 1 or a 2 on the whole entire team. And that's just, be prepared, because, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I've heard that a lot from a bunch of guys. And so that's just, we all take the same approach as if we were starting, So, I mean, yes, obviously everybody's, going for that one job. But I think as, younger guys, stuff like that, realistically, you also, know that, there may not be, unless injuries happen, there may not be as much PT as you want. But, I mean, 2 plays, one goes down, 2 goes down, or if you're the 2, when the one guy goes down, you've got to be ready. Because, I mean, this league, it is cutthroat. And, I mean, literally, so, I mean, everybody has the same mindset in the QB room, and it's been really fun to, learn with those guys. And it's fun to have, a bunch of guys that are just really smart, just high IQ guys as well, because, I mean, you can just pick each other's brains and stuff. You may not see it that way. Somebody may not see it the way you do. So yeah, it's awesome to have those guys in there. But yeah, I think for sure it's just to stay ready so you don't have to get ready mentality.
Yeah, getting to know Spencer a little bit the last couple of years, and then just knowing Luke since he was in high school, seemed to be 2 great guys. What have you learned from them just being in the room with them? I know you talked about it a little bit there a second ago, but what is it like to just kind of be in a room where, yeah, y'all are competing, but it seems like y'all have a lot of love for each other as well?
Yeah. I'll say, I mean, those are literally, I mean, even though they play the same position as me, my roommate, Stone, obviously one of my best friends, and those 2 guys are probably the guys I hang out with the most. Mm-hmm. And so those guys are always supportive, and they're great mentors, not only, X's and O's, but also, just, it's half the battle is mental as well. So, I mean, just, like I've said it a few times, picking guys' brains that have been there, done that, have experience, it's really cool, just to learn from them, as well as X's and O's, like Dewo, as I mentioned earlier. But with those guys, I mean, it's great to have them as, like, close friend, just because, they may be playing the same position, but we're all in the same, kind of trajectory. We all want to do the same stuff, and that's a win. So it's been really fun for sure.
Definitely. So we talked about spring a little bit to this point, but just in general, not being able to go through a spring last year, but now kind of having, I feel like preseason practice is a much different animal than spring ball, where it's more about internally focused, progressing as a team, progressing as an individual as well. You kind of have time to go practice, then you have that next day where I know you guys can, like, actually kind of process what you did and process what's coming up the next practice. How important is it for you as a young quarterback to have now been able to kind of go through this full spring practice and just kind of develop as a player?
Yeah, it's huge. Like you said, spring ball is totally different from, like, fall camp. So I was a summer enrollee and as a quarterback, and a pretty complex offense last year. It was kind of, it was tough fall camp, trying to learn as, the days go on, and sometimes you feel like you're a little behind. I feel like I progressed nicely throughout the season, but spring has been huge for, the early enrollees and the guys, especially with the new offense as well. So, I mean, we've all had great strides since day one, obviously. But it is huge having, just it's all installs and everybody's at the same pace. So I think that, having that day off in between, and then it's not as much. It's also, a lot of coaching, but it's more of teaching. It's not as much, hey, you better know this, you better know that. It's also just a lot of learning and teaching, which it's been really fun. So, I mean, we've all progressed nicely. We're all, we feel great about what we're doing. So, yeah, we're having a lot of fun.
I always think it's a good indicator. Going back to last year, I think you got to travel a little bit later in the year.
Yes,
is that right?
Yeah, I did. I think first 2 home games, I did not travel. But that was, I think mainly was just development wise, just knowledge. I felt like, but as the season went on, you get more competent, you get more comfortable, and so that's what kind of just progresses along for sure.
And you went on a couple of road trips?
Yeah, I did. I think Vandy was my first road game. Florida, I went on a Florida game. Clemson games. That was awesome. Clemson game was too.
Yeah, so that's always a good indicator. I think the coaches have to make decisions. Who's going to be on that bus? Who's going to be on the flight?
Yep.
And like you said, you weren't traveling in the beginning. You start traveling towards the end. That means that there's some trust in you, I think, from the coaching staff. You've probably been progressing the way they want to see. How important do you think it will be for you, your overall development, looking back and having those experiences, being able to check out some SEC atmosphere, some Clemson atmosphere? Obviously, I'm sure it was awesome to be there for the win over Clemson, too. But just
awesome.
The experience of the sideline, seeing how everything operates, seeing how fast everything moves at a SEC level. How do you sort of lean on what you learned last year as far as that goes?
Yeah, it's always great to be around ball in general, especially at this level. I mean, you may not be playing, but on the sideline you learn stuff, just whether it be from, somebody making a mistake or from success. So, I mean, traveling, getting to, experience, big atmospheres too, that's huge. Because, I mean, coming from high school, small town like I did, then coming and playing in front of 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 people sometimes, I mean, it's a huge, huge jump. So, yeah, I think that I'll for sure be glad that, that I progressed up to traveling towards the end of last year just because of the experience and like I said, the knowledge as well that you can gain from traveling, seeing guys make it, firsthand, those mistakes, those good reads, bad reads, stuff like that. So yeah, for me, it was huge.
I know coming back from Clemson, bus arrives at the facility, Gamecock fans everywhere celebrating. What was that like to be just on the field after that win, in the locker room after that win, and then coming back and seeing like thousands of people waiting on y'all for that?
Yeah, that was surreal for sure. Because I mean, obviously, the week before we knock off Tennessee, and then you're like, can you do it 2 times in a row? And then obviously we did. So, but yeah, I think coming back to see like all those people at the ops building, that was, first off, that's insane. Like that's like like some dream stuff. That's like movie stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's so cool. I grew up in Tuscaloosa, huge fan base over there, and so I'm used to the SEC, with fans, and some of those guys that are from up north, maybe out west, they don't understand like how big these fans are in the SEC, how much like they take this personally almost. But yeah, that was one of the coolest things I've been a part of. Especially being here, or I was there for about probably my 6th month there. And then, in the first 6 months, being able to take down Clemson, take down Tennessee, go to a bowl game. I mean, it really was special for sure.
Speaking of out west, you almost ended up playing your college ball out west. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more. We got to take a quick break. We're going to continue our conversation with Tanner Bailey, talk a little recruiting, talk a little off the field, and we'll just continue this and see where it takes us. Again, this is Garnet Trust Hour with Tanner Bailey. We'll be right back.
It's the Garnet Trust Hour on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
All right, we're back. Tanner Bailey, Garnet Trust Hour. We were talking before the break there, Tanner. Your recruiting process was a little bit unique. You were committed, to Oregon?
Oregon,
is that
yes,
right?
Yep.
I remember, I cover recruiting on Gamecock Central. I remember you being one of, I think, actually the first quarterback offer when Beamer got the job. And I remember, we're watching Huddle, we're Googling, we're learning about this Tanner Bailey guy. We thought you were going to end up at South Carolina at the time.
Yeah.
Then you end up at Oregon. Then Carolina they move on, they do their thing. And then I remember fast forwarding all the way far, South Carolina's landed, I guess, Braden Davis, Spencer Rattler, and Beamer puts out the little welcome home thing, which he does whenever South Carolina gets a commitment. And we hear Tanner Bailey is coming to South Carolina. Then I think we weren't allowed to report anything at the time. I think later on, didn't you sign sort of silently?
Yeah, I signed like I was at Disney World.
Yes.
It was so funny. Of course, I love Disney World. I've gone there my whole life, like 20 times now. It's actually ridiculous. But yeah, I'm 20 years old. Yeah. So, but I was actually I decommitted like 10 days before signing day, and obviously there was a little bit of panic. Because, quarterbacks is such a unique way of because, I mean, you can take 2, 3 wide receivers, you can take linebackers, you can take multiple O-linemen, but quarterbacks, usually you take 1 and maybe 2, that's a maybe. And so, I was on the phone. Of course, obviously one of the first places I called was Beamer and Coach Satt because, I had the reason I committed to Oregon was because I had a great relationship with Joe Moorhead, who was at Mississippi State. But I really did enjoy my conversation with Satt a lot. Could tell, he knew a lot about the game coming from the NFL. So, in the short time I knew Satt before I did commit to Oregon, I knew that was, one of the places, if something ever happened, I wanted to end up. And so, yeah, I was at Disney World, literally signed, about to get on like the Star Wars ride. And then I actually waited a few days because one of my buddies was making a little edit of it. And so pretty much, and that Hayes Fawcett guy, he says, he does everybody's now. So I know Hayes, and he got me in there somehow because everybody was signing at that time, obviously. But yeah, it was a cool little, I guess, process of how it went from within 2 weeks, you're one school, about to sign with them, early enroll, and then I end up staying play baseball. But yeah. Obviously, I'm super glad how it worked out and stuff like that. So yeah,
I think I actually interviewed you when you were at Disney World.
You did,
and you were like, "Hey man, I can do this real quick." I can't remember what you were about to get on a ride or go out to eat with your family or something. You were literally at Disney though. I remember that.
I was with my family and we had something scheduled, and I felt so bad because my mom and my dad were laughing because I probably sounded like. Kind of almost like a prick, literally. So, I mean, I was like, yeah, because I had, obviously everybody blew my phone up, friends, family, stuff like that. Because it was kind of a spontaneous decision. And, I mean, literally, within 10 days, I had, flipped a commitment, stuff like that. But yeah, I remember we were going to eat, and we had, a reservation. And, in this place, you really couldn't be on your phone or anything like that because it was, a really nice restaurant. So I was like, all right, I've got, 2 minutes right here, so let's knock it out. But yeah, it was a cool experience, being at Disney World with friends and family, and then having to obviously sign and so that was a good way of celebrating.
So you had not had you ever visited South Carolina when you signed?
Yeah, I signed sight unseen. So yeah, it was. I mean, obviously, I'd for sure prayed about it a few days before because I knew after I had decommitted, I had some schools hitting me up, but, that was out west as well with Lincoln at USC and, well, Southern Cal, not USC.
There you go.
Lincoln and then Indiana, some other schools like that. And so, I felt like, I wanted to stay home in the SEC, which I refer to as home. So, yeah, it was a awesome kind of little experience to go through.
It worked out, and you... So you signed? You ended up taking an official visit after you signed, right?
I came on the official while they were at the bowl game.
Okay.
So yeah. So it was a weird. So literally I pretty much didn't meet everybody until first day I got here.
Yeah.
Of course I knew Sat and Beamer, but everybody else was kind of just, hey, how are you? I'm Tanner, and then we just went from there. But yeah, it was honestly, it was funny, but it was also cool too.
So you mentioned Stone. Did y'all know each other at all before? Or y'all just became buddies once you got here?
So I guess the first time me and Stone ever met, he's gonna laugh at this because he's gonna listen to this. The first time me and Stone ever met was literally at 650 Lincoln, and we had talked a few times before that. Of course, I was a big baseball guy. He was a big baseball guy. Yeah. And we knew we kind of wanted to room together because we shared a lot of similar hobbies. And so what's funny with Stone, we hit it off so quick because, like I said, we have so many similar hobbies. So week 2, we're out playing golf, having fun, stuff like that. So yeah. But that was a blessing in disguise for sure. Getting a good roommate like that because Oregon, I knew all the guys over there. Obviously the staff knew everybody over there. And then not only committing to a new staff, new school, but none of the other commits. So yeah, that was pretty cool to get a guy in there that I can, of course I beat him in golf nowadays all the time, but I can play golf with, stuff like that.
Is he going to admit that you beat him in golf?
No, he definitely won't. And I think he's coming on
soon.
Yeah, soon. So you definitely have to bring it up, and he'll get a good laugh out of it. But yeah, he can't beat me, no doubt.
So speaking of Stone, we had Stone as a calling guest on live radio on signing day, and
I bet
so you did your interviews from Disney. Stone's on there. This is live, call in, and every couple of questions we keep hearing noise, like somebody's working out or just making some noise, and then we're sitting there like, what is that noise? And then all of a sudden it kind of clicks. It was the just absolute unique sound of someone teeing off. And so
that is Stone Blanton to a T right there. That is Stone to a T for sure.
My man was answering questions. Then you would hear the
ting. Yeah, then somebody hit a 9-iron off the tee box. Yeah.
And then he would start answering again. So we called him out, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm playing golf."
Yeah, he hits it about a mile though. I don't know if you ever go on Twitter and look at his page, he'll hit it. Kids, of course, he's huge, and he's a baseball guy, so he knows rotational power, how to use torque. But yeah, that does not surprise me at all, for sure.
All-time classic right there.
No doubt.
So we're all right. We got to hit another break, but we'll keep talking a little golf. I want to talk a little baseball. I know you have a love for baseball, so do I. Talk some Gamecock baseball too. So we'll be right back. He's Tanner Bailey, Garnet Trust Hour. Be back in a second.
It's the Garnet Trust Hour on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
All right, we're back. Garnet Trust Hour, 107.5 The Game. Hanging out with Tanner Bailey. Tanner, we were talking a little golf, a little baseball. I know you have a passion for baseball, man. You played in high school. Could have maybe played some baseball in college as well. And you mentioned off air, you kind of got a little bit burnt out for baseball a little bit. I was the same way, man. Played high school baseball, played my whole life, got burned out, got completely as far away from it as I possibly could, and now just kind of fell in love with just watching the game. You know, watch pretty much every Braves game, every Carolina game now. And I know you've been paying close attention to Carolina baseball. What have you thought of this team so far, man? Like, they're pretty loaded, obviously.
Yeah, they can for sure swing it, and that's pretty much where my whole entire love for the game came from. Like, literally, I have, like, you know, little tapes of when I was 2, 3. I'm left-handed. I throw right-handed, hit left-handed. So I had the bat in my right hand, just literally, whether it be a bat or something, I'm swinging or throwing from age 2 and up. But yeah, they've been extremely, extremely fun to watch. Of course, like I said earlier, you know, Stone's a big baseball guy too. So every time we get a chance, you know, to catch them on TV, we really do. And so it's so fun because, I mean, I love just watching guys that have just pure natural swings just hit complete nukes. Because, I mean, they're hitting like 3 home runs a game. It's absolutely insane. And I bet they're having fun. I mean, that's obviously, you know, winning is fun, but hitting a bunch of bombs is fun too. And there's nothing like trotting around those bases. It's like throwing a touchdown for sure. So yeah, it's been really cool to, you know, watch them this whole season.
Have you watched Ethan Petrie? Whenever you say pure swing and hitting nukes, Petrie is the guy that comes to mind. We actually had him in here as well. He's actually a Star Wars fan.
Luke. Of course, Luke Doty, he's a huge Star Wars fan. Luke will be walking around the house like Star Wars socks on, and he like binges The Mandalorian every night. And I walk in, like it'd be Yoda on the screen. I'm like, "There's Luke." I ain't gotta don't have any doubts on who it is. I don't have to look for it. Is that Luke? No, it's Luke. It's definitely Luke.
So we had Petrie in here, man. Completely down to earth dude. Very just chill, laid back. You wouldn't know that he had 8 RBIs the other day. I mean, he might be a national freshman of the year guy. Who I guess have you been watching him a bit? And anybody else on the team?
I love his swing and what he does. It's you know, my dad. He was kind of like my hitting coach growing up, and he always said, you know, effortless power is better than powerless effort. And so, you know, he's just so effortless, and it just creates so much power. And some guys you see, you know, just putting so much effort in, and they don't get any power. So, I mean, that swing just smooth, crisp, and obviously it's showing up, you know, on the diamond, hitting. I mean, kids hitting complete rockets out there.
Yeah, special, man. He is so special. Yep. Does it make you want to, like, start thinking about, all right, can I try to walk on the team next year?
Oh, yeah. It makes me want to go take BP a few times, for sure. I mean, I played shortstop in high school. I also love, I love playing the field as well. Pitched a little bit. But I guess I always loved hitting. And so, you know, literally, you know, watching those guys, I don't know, you know, who the hitting coach is right now, but he's obviously doing a dang good job. So, but yeah, those kids, obviously they're really gifted as well. But yeah, they just look so comfortable. And for sure them hitting, you know, everybody's hitting, you know, 3+ home runs, you know, so far, and the kids hitting 10, 15 home runs. That's really, really like, you know, it seems addicting, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it for sure gives off, you know, to me, like, oh yeah, I want to go take BP, you know, hit a few bombs, you know, so yeah, for sure they got to keep doing their thing. I think they played really well, for the whole season. So yeah.
How did you get the lefty swing? Like, was that just?
It was more of like my dad kind of just like made me. I don't know. I don't really know, I guess, the whole story. But for sure, I'm not saying this being biased. I do feel like even like left-handed, like kids that play basketball are left-handed.
Yeah.
Kids that hit left-handed, it almost feels like it's more pure.
Yeah. Like
whether it be a swing or a throw, I don't know why, and that's me not being biased either. I just feel like, you know, left-handed swings feel more, you know, smooth to a degree. But yeah, I think when I was little, my dad just put it in my right hand and then like kind of pushed my right hand back. And so like then I just like pulled through with that hand. And so obviously, now I play golf left-handed, play baseball left-handed. So yeah, but for me, I feel like, I wasn't a big guy in high school. I didn't weigh a bunch. But it did help. I felt like pulling with my right hand helped me gain a lot more power. And so yeah, but yeah.
So do you do everything else other than I guess if you're swinging something, you're lefty.
If I'm swinging something,
everything else is righty.
Yep. Of course, right-handed. But yeah, if I'm swinging something, it's gonna be left-handed.
Can you throw lefty at all?
No, I don't even want to try, honestly.
It's bad?
Yeah. I don't even want to try, honestly. I'll stick throwing right-handed.
Okay, so we know golf's a hobby. Did you watch the Masters?
I did.
What'd you think? What'd you think of the trees falling, man? That was insane.
That would have been scary. That would have honestly ruined it for a while, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad no one got hurt, just because, obviously, the safety or no injuries, because that could have been fatal, literally.
Yeah, it was a miracle nobody got hurt.
It literally was. Yeah. And, the Masters, like, probably the greatest tradition to me. Like, I'm a big football, baseball guy, but it's like one of the coolest and greatest traditions in all sports, just because of how, like, obviously the tradition, one, and just how just special and unique everything is, from, like, even the cheap food, the no electronics, stuff like that. It's actually really cool, and it makes you feel like it's, kind of old-timey and just how it was, a long time ago before, obviously, phones, social media came out. So really, everybody there obviously appreciates it way more, just having to be locked in on guys playing golf. But I'm so glad, that no one got hurt, just because I felt like the whole vibe of the Masters would kind of just change. And probably, if somebody gets extremely hurt, you probably have to, maybe shut the tournament down for like the rest of the day, to kind of throwing a funk in the whole thing. So yeah, I'm so glad nobody got hurt.
Have you been before or not?
I haven't. So when I first got up here, I didn't realize we were like an hour from Augusta, an hour and 20 minutes, whatever. I actually drove through it on the way back home yesterday.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was literally like there on like 18T, and I'm like driving by. I was so tempted to like pull off and just, I don't know, jump a fence maybe or something like that. But I haven't been. My dad's been a bunch. But that's for sure on my bucket list in the next few years.
Yeah, Columbia. You can. This is like a big, maybe even a recruiting pitch for Columbia. But in fact, you can get to the beach pretty easily if you won't get to the mountains. Get to Augusta, Atlanta, Charlotte, all kind of right there.
It is, and that's not, go to Alabama. There's not. You got Tuscaloosa about 20 minutes away, and then that's about it. But yeah, that is one really cool thing about living here is just like you said, Charlotte, Atlanta, north and south, beach, mountains. You go out west, go south to Augusta once a year, and have a fun time there. So yeah, it's a great location.
So other than baseball, golf, what are we doing if we're not playing football? Is there anything else that takes up your time other than school? Obviously, you got that too.
That's probably it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Most of the time, I guess during the off season, it's summer. You're working out, playing golf. The season, you're pretty much just ball. And then off season in the winter, obviously, maybe vacation a little bit. But once it starts to heat back up, right back playing golf. And then of course, this is the first time in my life I've kind of just focused on only one sport because growing up I played football, baseball, played some basketball when I was younger. But yeah, I think really just something where a ball goes somewhere. I think that's probably what I'm doing most of the time.
Do you hoop any with the guys now?
Not as much anymore. I actually used to love my granddad was a huge basketball guy growing up. He'd always try and get me to play sometimes, but honestly, it was kind of frowned upon in my high school because if it kind of ran into baseball season. Yeah. So all the the baseball players, we wanted to play basketball. We enjoyed it. Had some good coaches over there, but it was pretty much just that was in baseball season, so you really didn't do it. So yes, sir.
We've had every guy that's come on that has been big into playing basketball. They've had their starting five from the team, and everybody has put themselves on their starting five except for Luke. Luke said basketball. I don't know if Luke's ever picked the basketball up in his wife. And he admitted that.
But Luke is extremely athletic. That's not
He can do about anything. Yeah, apparently basketball is not
extremely fast. And he can jump out the gym as well.
Does some yoga too, I believe.
Yes, he does. But he does a lot. Like his body. Obviously Luke's in extremely great shape. but that yoga helps him stay flexible as well and stuff too.
Yeah.
So I mean, it has. We'll joke around a little bit about it, but it for sure. I mean, his body is just in great shape all the time. He's never. I feel like he's never sore or tired, and I mean that's a great thing, especially as an athlete. He's always in great shape. Whether it be recovery, ice bath, yoga, stuff like that. So props to Luke on that, because I mean I don't know if I could do it. He's on the go all the time, with recovery.
Have you seen the Spencer Rattler mixtape on YouTube from his high school basketball days?
Yes, I have, and he lets me know every once in a while how he used to hoop and stuff like that. Of course, I never said to his face, but he was pretty cold, and he of course he played that kid that's in the NBA now, I think.
Yes, yeah.
I don't remember the redheaded, something like that, but yeah, we all know Spencer. He's a great athlete. I mean, obviously, to play quarterback, you have to be somewhat of a pretty good athlete. But yeah, he's let us know a few times. Back in the day, he could hoop. But yeah, we'll always play it down a little bit just to keep him humble a little bit. But
it's pretty good.
Yeah, he can shoot it, and he can jump as well too. Every once in a while we'll do our kind of measurables, our verticals, 40, stuff like that, and he can get up there for sure.
Fastest guy in the QB room is definitely Luke.
Oh, Braden's gonna push him. I think Braden hit 22.3 miles an hour in the and that's moving. That is moving.
What have you hit?
I don't even know.
You don't know, or you don't want to tell us?
It was like 20. It was 20.
Okay, 20.
It was 20, which is solid for me. I'm
that's
not gonna
good,
lie to
right?
you. Yeah, it's solid. I mean, it's a good number for a QB. I feel like it's good for me. But I feel like obviously the strength staff, they did a great job. When I first got here, I mean, I was just in the spring and just hitting bombs and just trotting. I didn't mean that like that, but I was trying to hit bombs.
Yeah.
And just I wasn't doing hardly anything. Working out some, but got here. Struggled the first few weeks, as pretty much all freshmen do. But they got me feeling really confident. And that's a big part of being on the field too. So props to our strength staff. But yeah, I think Braden. It's probably Braden or Luke. Of course, Lenoris is up there too now. Lenoris is just like Greek god though.
Yeah.
Like, Lenoris is jacked.
Monster.
He's jacked. But Lenoris is hilarious too. Lenoris is a man of very few words, but like when he says something, it's either most of the time it's really funny, but he doesn't really mean to be funny. It's just how he is. But yeah, this shows to show you we have a great QB room. Everybody, there's no kind of beef or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's always fun. So yeah, it's been fun.
Special group. You mentioned workouts, man. I want to give the people out there just an example of a Luke Day workout, because I know from what I've seen and heard, it's not your traditional just we're going to go in there and throw some weight around. It's always some, a tweak here or there. So be thinking about that. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk a little food with Tanner Bailey as well. We always talk food on this show. We're going to get his favorite meal. So we'll be right back. Garnet Trust Hour, 107.5 The Game. He's Tanner Bailey. I'm Wes Mitchell. We'll be right back.
It's the Garnet Trust Hour on your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
All right, we're back. Final segment, Garnet Trust Hour. Tanner Bailey hanging out, 107.5 Studios. Tanner, you brought up the strength staff. Man, I look on Twitter. They have y'all going out, dropping you off in buses in the middle of nowhere. They got y'all digging up stuff somewhere in Columbia. I don't know, man. Do you ever quite know what to expect as far as what Luke Day has in store for you guys?
Yeah, I think after a while I thought I would, but now I've just given up on trying to guess what we're going to do. In all honesty, though, he does have, a mindset or, I guess, a theme that he wants, and we'll mix up, whether it be, a push-pull kind of day or stuff like that. So he'll mix up the workouts, but obviously it's not like your traditional bodybuilding, stuff where it's just, curls, bench press, squat. We do all that stuff as well, but a lot of other stuff, I mean, we're crawling a ton, like you said earlier, we're digging buckets, of sand up, that are like 4 feet deep, pull it out, carry it 2 miles to the stadium, and then take it up the stadium, around the stadium, down, and then pour it in the bucket. And obviously, all of it's competition too. So that always is good, just for us, mentally kind of get that competitive spirit going, especially in the off season. And it's great team bonding too, doing stuff like that. You see guys that you may not think, have it in them, and, kids come out of nowhere. show some great grit, mental toughness. But yeah, to this day, I still try not to guess, what we're doing.
It seems like everything in this program has some element of either, and sometimes it's both, but certainly some element of team building or competition. Like those two things are kind of built into about everything you do. When we get to go out to practice, I know sometimes Beamer will get on the mic and he'll be like ones versus ones and twos versus twos, and it'll be like losers are running half gassers. And then I see, like you said, a lot of what y'all do in the off season is based, it seems like, around team building. So it seems like that's kind of in the core of what this program wants to be about. Is that true?
Yeah, no doubt. We have on our wall in the team room, we have a few kind of phrases or words that we go by, and competition is for sure one of the big ones. So I think in everything we do, we kind of just try and implement something where it's not just that way. The complacency can't really set in, or the relaxation, the comfortableness can set in. So if that's a word. So yeah, but I mean, everything we do, whether it be lifts, conditioning, obviously on the field, everything's competition too. But even in drills, like you said, 1 versus 1, best of 5, trying to win, 3 out of 5. I mean, obviously trying to sweep, 5-0, but even like in quarterback drills, we throw the buckets out there. We started that this year, and everything's a point system. So, you hit the bucket, it's 1 point. You make the ball, it's 2 points. You miss, it's obviously none. And so, the whole day, it keeps you kind of focused too, which keeps you engaged, getting mental reps and stuff like that too. So yeah, I think that's one of our big core values that we take extremely seriously.
How have you done on hitting the bucket this year?
Pretty well, actually. I starting off the year, I really, at camps in high school, I hated throwing in the buckets.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it was never realistic. Of course, I never was a huge, I went to a lot of camps, but like I was never going to flash out at the camp. I mean, I always felt like my strengths was always just, I guess I was a gamer. I mean, I was never I'm 6'1", 205 pounds, good, strong arm, but I feel like, my, advantages are going to come in different ways. So I kind of hated it to start off with, but then, you start, obviously D-Lo kind of worked with me on some fundamental stuff. Coach Sean Ryan, that's what I mentioned earlier. He's helped me a lot in that aspect as well. Just not, overstriding, stuff like that, ball placement, stuff like that. So yeah, Spencer obviously maybe gets, cause his accuracy, I don't know why I'm saying this on live radio, cause he's going to hear it probably. I'm going to have to show him, but he's extremely accurate, and it's fun to watch sometimes. And Luke is too. And the rest of us, obviously, everybody in the room is accurate, but Spencer sometimes he can get hot, and so we'll have he has like the course record right now, which is like 7, points or something like that. So it may be 5 throws, and 7's a lot, to make it in the bucket, 30 yards away on throwing a corner out, that's extremely, extremely impressive. But yeah, it's been fun, just competing in small ways like that too.
Where do you think the line is for any quarterback between sort of focusing on fundamentals, but also just like playing naturally? You know what I mean? Like everybody, I feel like, has their own unique way to throw a football. And I feel like the best coaches are able to sort of tweak your unique throwing motion just enough. It's like, let's work on this stride a little bit. Let's work on this arm angle while you're still able to go be yourself and not be like, I don't know, robotic maybe is the word. So how do you kind of find that line? Is that a real thing?
Yeah, 100% what you said. Like, I think obviously there's the basics, I mean, if you overstride, you're not going to throw a good ball. If you have a narrow base, that's with everybody. Now, the main thing you get into, I guess, with throwing motions is probably just arm angles and kind of, I guess, takeaways, you could say, or like a load with the ball. That's where you get into the differences in a bunch of quarterbacks. I think from the waist down, pretty much everybody's going to be the same. Some people may be a little narrower, take kind of shorter, smaller steps. Some people may like a little bit wider base, but it's all going to be in the same kind of family. And then offhand, when you're throwing, you always want that kind of be tight. I think that's pretty much everybody agrees on that. But like you said, you also want that naturalness to it with a throwing motion, just because you don't want to make it awkward for a kid. But yeah, I mean, we have 6 quarterbacks, 6 different throwing motions, but they're all crisp, Right. I mean, everybody gets pretty much the same result. Also have some different arm strength levels, but I mean, everybody, just throws a really pretty ball and can throw it, at different levels with different speeds. That's the main thing you want to do, just create a consistency. So yeah, like you said, there's going to be a lot of, basics implemented, but at the same time, there's also going to be a natural comfortableness too as well.
Definitely. All right, so we're running out of time on our Garnet Trust Hour. We promised we'd talk a little food. We always like to get everybody's either A, weird food combos, or just if you don't have anything super weird, you're just like, if you won the Masters and they're, your pre-dinners where they like put together whatever you want. You could also think of it as like your last meal type thing. So any meal that's just like A1 for you, or any meal that's just completely weird.
Me and my dad are both big steak guys. So I love steak. I mean, I love like a big filet. I mean, that's kind of plain. But and also big ice cream guys.
Okay.
I guess that's all genetic because my dad's the same exact way. It's so funny because, I guess growing up, he's like, you want to go to this, you want to do that? And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want to eat right now. I don't know if I eat many exotic foods, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just a big steak guy. I'm kind of plain, I guess. Stone would probably talk a little bit more about food.
Okay. Big
Stone,
food guy?
Yeah, Stone kind of experiments a little bit more. He can also eat the same thing every day. Because like when he'll bulk every once in a while. Since he's been here, he'll be like, I'm going to bulk, and he'll eat like the same food like 7 days a week, the same time. And it's hilarious though. That'd be a good question to ask Stone for sure.
He's like a meal prep guy where you just I can't do that, man.
Yeah, I struggle with that too. Of course, he plays a different position, so he kind of has to be in a little better shape. But yeah, for sure.
Okay, final thing. What's it going to be like to play in Williams-Brice Stadium spring game? Probably get a lot of reps, I feel like, on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm really excited. I think, before the spring, I was really looking forward to it because it will be my first time, playing a live snap since high school football. And so, I wanted to go out there and earn, a successful night. And I guess that's been my whole mindset where, I wanted to go out there and have a peace of mind where, okay, I've worked my butt off. This is, if I play bad, that's on me. That's because I was nervous or something like that. I want to go out there, play free, play loose. So yeah, I mean, Saturday night, it should be really fun. So I mean, everybody's looking forward to it. With Dow is as well. So yeah, extremely excited for it and looking forward to it.
Tanner, it's been fun, man. We appreciate you coming in. Let's do this again sometime. Okay?
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
Yep. He's Tanner Bailey, Garnet Trust Hour. I'm Wes Mitchell. This has been 107.5 The Game. Go to GarnetTrust.com if you want to support student athletes like Tanner and everybody else on the South Carolina, football team, women's basketball, across the board. You can see how you can do that. GarnetTrust.com. Again, thank y'all for joining us, and we'll see y'all soon.